Good morning, everybody. Gio, how you feeling?
Still annoyed, actually. I
Yeah,
think why I'm annoyed has possibly changed. And, last night, you're right, the FA Cup, that's the most frustrating thing that we're not in
yeah,
the tournament anymore. And that is still a grievance of mine this morning, but I think it's now sort of turned into almost like frustration and potentially even anger towards some of the players involved last night, as well as the manager, because it's mainly on the players for me. However, we approached the second game as we did the first game. We didn't learn from the errors in the first one, which was Bristol City were going to rough us up a little bit, and we allowed it to happen again last night. And it just that's unforgivable from Moyes and the coaching team. But I do think the players have taken a lot of responsibility last night. There was very few of them come out with good marks for me. And when I say a few, I mean one or two, and that's it.
yeah. Me too. I think it was one of as you know, I'm a fairly calm human being. It was one of the angriest I've watched alongs I've done in a while. Um, it just, it just felt like we had nothing. It really did. I was going into the second half pessimistic, but I still felt like we'd probably do it, and we just got done. We just got done. There's no other really way to put it. I mean, like you can talk about like how strong in the tackle, let's say they were, and I think that's fair to talk about. But like realistically, we just had nothing. I just
We
didn't get it. I
didn't
just didn't get it at all.
We didn't lose. The referee was crap last night. There should have been at least one sending off. I would make the case for two. I think Gardner Hickman should have got sent off for whacking Creswell in the back of the head, and I think Williams, the one that Ains is possibly a red card, but at best it's a booking. And if he gets that yellow card, he doesn't do that foul on Ben Rama. I think it's fair, given the benefit of the doubt, that he would not fly in again whilst on the yellow card, because after the Ben Rama thing, he behaved himself. He actually brought down Emerson just inside their half and conceded a free kick, which I thought was possibly a booking, but it might have been a bit harsh for a red. Sometimes I think it's fair to referees to say, well, if you weren't on the booking, I'd have booked you for that. But because you are, I'm going to let this one go. And I know that's not necessarily how you should apply the laws of the game. But if you start doing giving bookings everything, you'll have a few players sent off every game. There's got to be a bit of leeway. But I don't think he would have done that foul. That Ben Rama's red card wouldn't have occurred if had the referee done his job in the first place, which was the challenge on Danny Ings at the very start of the game. And we didn't lose the game because of the referee. We lost the game because of us. But I think the referee prevented us from having an opportunity to get back in to the match by reducing us to 10 men. I do think, the Ben Rama one
Yeah,
was without question a red card, but the reaction of Williams helps Ben Rama get sent off, whereas the lack of reaction from Creswell helps the referee not send Gardner Hickman off. Had Aaron Creswell went down rolling his face, I think the referee might have sent, or he might have had to, because he would have had to stop the game because it's a head injury, and then he would have had to say to the fourth official what's happened, and he'd say, well, he's just clumped Creswell in the back of the head. You're going to have to send him off. But for those officials between them not to send that Gardner Hickman off is inexcusable, really. So while there's a lot of things from Moyes and the players inexcusable, the officiating was horrific, I felt. And
yeah.
there's some Bristol City fans have suggested it's because they're sort of pampered Premier League players don't like it and stuff. Nah, I'm not having that. When Pring clattered someone in the air, might have been Sufan Mavros, that was just not liking it rough. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just a
Yeah,
harsh challenge. But what Williams did was beyond that. It was almost violent.
yeah. Someone in the live chat yesterday um said they found it a bit pathetic and concerning that we couldn't deal with quote a bit of championship argy bargy. And I was like, bro, some of that was some of that was verging on GBH. Let's not act like some people would be getting some sentences if this was happening in public. But I,
Yeah.
I think yeah, it's frustrating because like you say, I think for the first game they were very sort of like tough tackling, no nonsense, reducers, all that. But that's fine. I love it when we do that. I'm not exactly going to sit here and complain when other teams do that. It is what it is, right? But some of the things that the referees managed to somehow miss yesterday is insane.
Yeah.
It's completely insane. But again, that's not to say that was. I think obviously that affected the game. You do that sort of stuff. One of the things you were talking about is people at halftime, which I 100% agreed with, was people looking nervous on the ball, passing it nervously, no one really having that sort of calmness on the ball that you should have as a Premier League side who are all cost a significant amount of money. One of the things you should be able to do, I mean, listen, Souček can't pass, but at least he should be calm about it. Everyone should be calm about the way they're doing it, and no one was. So obviously that sort of atmosphere and, you know, the players going into you, that affects it. But we just, it was the thing that frustrated me most, I think, about yesterday was in the build-up we spoke about it, right? We were talking about how we feel about the lineups and all that sort of stuff, and I said two things. My two big concerns about it with Danny Ings playing up front by himself, it needed to be a two, and the double pivot of Thomas Souček and James Ward-Prowse. And I still can't get over the fact you can put out the lineup, and what you said at halftime as well to me, I think is relatively true. You were like, the first half, to a certain extent, is more on the players than Moyes. But after that, you've seen it's gone wrong. You have to make changes and do something. Now, again, was his hand slightly forced because of Saïd Benrahma and he couldn't do much? Yes, but he still should have made changes significantly earlier in the game. And this is coming from someone who is relatively more pro Moyes. I was infuriated by it, just how late he decided to do subs and just like, what are you doing? Those are two things before the game most people can pick out of things that do not work. Danny Ings by himself, double pivot of Thomas Souček and James Ward-Prowse. So why do them? It just doesn't make sense to me. What did you think was going to happen? It was just going to magically happen. We're playing around in defence. They're pressing us a little bit. They were quite good at that. Okay, so what happens? We push it into the midfield too. Neither of whom are that good at progressing the ball forward. And so, it goes backwards again. Right, okay, fine. All right, fine. That's never going to work. We'll just stop doing that. You press either of them a little bit, it's going to be awful. James Ward-Prowse can't defend. Thomas Souček can't pass. So we've got it's just a perfect combo of awfulness. Then what? You get the ball forward. You've got Danny Ings playing up front by himself. Right. Well, we know that doesn't work. So what are you going to do? Well, we're going to play a 3 system. Okay. Right. So you're going to get people nice and close to them. No, we're going to play Saïd Benrahma. Gone.
How many passes did Ings complete last night? 82 minutes he was on the pitch for. Maybe even a bit more than that, but at least 80.
You told me at half time.
Yeah, but I had a look to see what he completed for the whole duration of the game.
I mean, 3. What? You said at half time 3, so let's go 6.
7. He made 7 passes. One pass every 10.2 minutes.
It's so stupid.
Against Man City, I think you go, all right, fair enough. But
exactly,
it's the way to a championship side. You expect your striker to be holding the ball up and bringing others into play. You know, I'm not defending Benrahma. You thought Benrahma's red card was an obvious one. I'd like to go in 2-footed on him. But this is where you're looking for your striker to drop deep, get involved, hold the play up, bring Kearney and Benrahma into play. He made 7 passes in 82 minutes. It's not that it doesn't work. It's also that he just doesn't get involved. He didn't get involved. He couldn't get involved. He didn't like it. You know, that tackle he got early on, you could see him basically saying to play, what have you done that for? Well, do something about it. Next time he's got it, go in hard on him. You don't go in violently and get sent off, but just let them know you're there, as the phrase goes. But we were a bunch of pussies last night. We were. I don't think it's quite Premier League pampered or whatever. It might be that, but it was just a lack of heart from our players, because I think some of them had it. I think Emerson tried to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and tried to make things happen. And at one point, 15 minutes to go maybe, he stood still. I think it was Gardner Hickman possibly picked it up, and he was sort of beside Emerson, and he sort of accelerated a little bit, as if say like he's going to start closing me down. Emerson didn't move, and you're hello, and he started running. Normally, I'd be screaming blue murder at a West Ham player for doing that, but with him last night, it got to that point where I was like, do you know what? I don't blame you. If you've given up, I think he was just tired, but I was at that point. I thought, if you've decided enough's enough, I completely get it, because he was trying everything to do something. He was our best defender, best midfielder, and best attacker last night. Emerson was.
Yeah.
It was that bad. I was impressed by Ben Johnson because he took a player on. Charlie, I'm not kidding. That's how
I did the exact same thing.
That's how low the barometer was. By the time Ben Johnson came on, at first I thought, why is he coming on? I thought, well, actually, Sufar's not been rubbish. He might as well go. Ben Johnson skinned someone. I thought, hello. At least we've got. And then he took someone on and ran out for a goal kick, and I was, ugh. But I thought, at least he's trying, which is more. The worst thing is Ben Johnson almost did okay because he tried. That's how bad the rest of them were. They weren't even doing that. They weren't even doing the bare minimum last night. There was nothing at all. And like I said, I stand by what I said at halftime. The first half was on the players. Now, why Moyes is set up with that midfield two, Ings up front, why he's gone to a back three away to Bristol City, I don't know. I don't know why he's decided this is the formation we're going to play. I don't get it, right? I try. Sometimes when you don't like what Moyes has done, you try and understand why he's done it, right? Do you know what I mean? You have to like it, but you have to accept it, and you try and think why he's done it. I still can't even come up with a legitimate reason as to why we did what we did last night. We're starting 11, personnel and shape. I don't get it. I don't understand why he's done it, Charlie.
The three at the back, I get to an extent from an attacking. Well, I don't, and I do. I feel like if you know Bristol City are going to sit and they're going to absorb what you do, so you're like, right, where are our chances going to come from? What's our danger going to be? Like, well, we're going to be fairly danger. We're going to have chances out wide. We're going to get crosses in. Okay, well, maybe we play three at the back so they're constantly out wide. You can push them sort of forward that way. You can get Aaron Cresswell into that position he used to get in 2020, 2021, where he'd come up into the half space.
He couldn't because Ben Rama's in the way. He's causing a
this is what I mean. That bit I get, but then the rest of it doesn't make any sense to me. So it's like, well, even if that was the idea, and this is one of those situations where I'm sitting on it post and going, right, what was he trying to do? What was going on here? And I'm like you're trying to reach a conclusion. You're not looking at it and going, that's conclusion. You're looking at something that doesn't really make much sense and going, why are these things a case? So I go, okay, well, maybe that's it. Okay, then explain literally everything else, because none of the other bits make sense. And it's just infuriating to look at because, like you say, it's just confusing, it's stupid and silly.
I didn't get it. You know, first half, but regardless of whether Moyes got it wrong or not, the players should be doing better than they were in the first half. They scored 2 goals across both games. Both were errors from ourselves. We gave them the opportunity to score, and they took it. You know, Bristol City didn't really present us with an opportunity. There was no defensive errors from them. Now, you could argue that's because we didn't force them into any, and I would accept that. But the first game, we gave them, Emerson gave them the ball, and then Ogbonna was about 10 yards ahead of Zuma, and Conway was in behind Ogbonna. And last night, bad pass from Sufal to Mavropanos, poor pass from Mavropanos to Fabianski, and Zuma just reads it wrong. He just looks at it and thinks Fabianski's going to get there. And by the time Conway gets there, he's gone. He's out of it. He's not quick enough to get back. Horrific from that team. But come halftime, that's when Moyes we were 1-0 down. But there's an opportunity now to change things. He might point at it and say lack of players. Well, hang on a minute. You've got the top goal scorer in under-21s English football on your bench.
Mm.
You've got him on there. You've got Mubama, who's a bright prospect. You've still got like Ben Johnson and Casey. There was options there. You're the one that assembled that bench. You didn't have to bring those players. There was no centre midfielder on the bench last night. Don't know why. Because, I mean, granted, Alvarez, I think, was a last-minute injury, but as soon as that happened, he should have been on the blower to Lewis Orford, even if he's in London, saying, can you get up to Bristol City ASAP? You're on the bench tonight. It happened in the olden days. Frank McAvenny got off the plane, turned up and played.
Yeah, it's 2 hours on a train from Paddington to Bristol Temple Meads. It's not that deep, you know. It's possible.
Bugger the train, just get him in a bloody cup of tea, get him in a taxi and send him up. His dad will drive him if he has to. You say to a 17-year-old, do you want a chance to be on the bench for West Ham tonight? He's there. He just, even if he rocked up in Bristol at 6 p.m., he's still on that bench ready to go. So that's it. But anyway, I'm just going to take a couple of comments before you do.
Go on, just as you find it, just to say, especially when a bench includes 2 goalkeepers and 2 centre-backs.
And only 8 players.
You telling me you didn't have space? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, go on.
Simon says Emerson showed what the partnership of Souček and Ward-Prowse lacked, forward dynamism. I agree. I thought Emerson was our best centre midfielder, even though he didn't play centre mid. Hammer Boy's complaining that we're complaining. He said we've got to move on. No good with all the negative rubbish. Does no good. Well, you tuned into a review of the match. I don't know what you're expecting, to be honest with you.
I feel like the thumbnail title probably gave it away. What I will say, obviously, this is about last night. At some point, it will change.
When we win games, we say, "You go, hey, last night was good, weren't it?" So if it, just leave, you're still here. Complaining. Just go away, Hammer Boy. You don't like it, go away. Come back when we've won a game, and you might enjoy the post match show because we've won.
Like the video before you go. Cheers, Hammer Boy.
Alan says the formation was chosen to allow them to get a maximum amount of senior players on the pitch.
Probably, but even then, you still could have changed it up.
How much I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, first of all, Elan, shout out, what a baller, Brazilian striker, let's go. Secondly, I feel like it's probably true. Like, the one thing I would say is, though, even then, you still could have gone with a 3-4-1-2, because that's what we did do. In Europe, we've done that tons of times, where you have sort of a 2 up front with like a 10 sort of in there, and Said Benrahma literally was playing that 10 role most of the time in Europe. We played that formation, so I don't understand why we didn't just do that. It's at least something else.
He's blaming Moyes every time he picks Kunde, Benrahma and Ings, Marshall Mubam and Scarles on the bench. I'll start blaming the players when he picks others and does subs early.
I don't think that's necessarily unfair, but at the same time, I just look at that. I look at the 11 that are on the pitch and I just think, what the hell are you doing? Because the other thing I should say is I haven't been someone who's like, a lot of people go, oh, this team have no heart, blah, 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 blah. I disagree. I think, if anything, this season we've seen ourselves scoring late on. It feels like we actually fight for stuff.
In the Premier League, I've got no complaints about our attitude in the Premier League and European football.
This is what I'm saying, right? 100%. Yes. So where the hell was that? Where was that vibe that I've had before? Where was that last minute fighting? All of that sort of stuff. They were all crap. They were all awful.
Cameron says it's poor that Moyes has no idea that the majority of the squad would be players he would have signed / wanted to sign. And Carl says Souček was woeful again. He should be an impact sub. Richard was asking about finals. Him and Alvarez got late knocks. I think they were both meant to be in the squad, possibly even starting, or at least one of them was meant to be starting, I think. And then he got injured yesterday morning. So that's
makes sense why there's 8 on the bench because of it, right?
Yeah, so I think that's why there was A, 2 keepers and B, 1 less player on the bench, because those 2 I think were meant to be involved in the squad. And to be fair, even though we're out, I'm glad he's not gambled on Alvarez.
Yeah.
If he wasn't 100% fit, I don't want us to gamble on Alvarez. We've seen time and time again what happens if we don't have him. Last night, another example. We need Alvarez for Sheffield United on Sunday. We can't risk injuring him. Shane's asking if we're secretly delighted Ghana lost, so Kudus more likely to be back. I don't think he is more likely. I will explain for anyone that doesn't know, but there's no secretly about it. I'm delighted Ghana got beat. I would like Ghana to lose the remaining 2 games and get out that group ASAP. I want them out that competition ASAP. And to be fair, I want Agard out ASAP as well. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'd rather have him available than not. And we've seen how broken Zuma looked for the last 5 minutes of that game. There's a possibility that he might not be around for Sunday. But anyway, in regards to Ghana, they lost. They play Egypt tomorrow. So there's a good chance they're going to lose that game as well. But in African nations, because there's only six groups, so 2 teams from each group go through, gives you 12 teams. You can't have 12. You need 8 or 16. So the other 4 come from the 4 best placed, 3rd place teams. So there's obviously 6 teams finish 3rd. The best 4 go through. So even if they win 1 game, there's a good chance you're going to get into the knockouts of African nations, which is a stupid idea. I don't like that thing. But 8 teams go out of the group stage out of 24. Anyway?
Look, they have the numbers. It is what it is.
Just add more countries, let more countries qualify, or only have 8 teams go through.
I can't pretend to understand it.
It's not difficult. I've just explained it.
No, what I'm saying is I don't pretend to understand the logic for actually doing it.
I was just trying to.
I understand the numbers, Gia. That's the one bit I do understand. I look at it and I go, "Hang on, why?" Because I get the numbers. It's more the vibe around it. I don't understand, but there we go. That's just the way it is, isn't it? Personally, I want him to go as far as possible. Love seeing players succeed. obviously I would rather him be played for West
Unselfish.
Ham.
Midfield was shocking.
Yeah.
Steve saying, do you think West Ham had Premier League arrogance and assumed we could turn up and beat them? Well, we can't do. We literally just drew with them a week ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't.
I just think they were A, not good enough, and B, not that arsed.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the one thing that was shocked me over the two halves, which probably showed how arsed they were about the whole situation. Sufal has got very angry over less things that have happened to him than Prings went into it. Like first game, Prings was going into him consistently, and I was sitting there going, right, you've made your own bed now. Sufal's going to go absolutely insane. And didn't do it. And in second game, stuff like this is happening again, and there was no bite to it.
There's a lot of talk he's very unhappy with his contract offer. So I think we've made him a contract offer, which is a 1 year extension, and I think he's unhappy with A, it's only 1 year, and B, the wage on offer, because I think he's one of the lowest paid players at the minute.
Yeah, I can imagine him being. I could understand him being unhappy with it. I don't think that would mean he wouldn't get angry if he got hit.
Yeah, but it might mean that he's not arsed, but he's a bit demotivated at the minute.
Maybe, but it feels like a guttural reaction to me. Like I feel like if I'm, I feel like Ben Rama, right? Ben Rama got smacked into. He reacted angrily. Now that's not something we usually see from Ben Rama to that extent. But you can see why it happened, right? A guy goes into him, he's pissed off, he lashes out in the moment, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like Sufal, I've seen him lash out in the moment before, and there was nothing. There was just nothing. So maybe that is why he doesn't care, because the contract, he's just demotivated or whatever. But it was just surprising to me. The whole situation was just surprising to me because I felt like you've just seen the exact opposite reaction so many times before.
Kyle said he thinks most teams would struggle if 3 or 4 of the best players were out. Having said that, our reserve should be able to turn up against the championship side. Lee said Mavropanos and Sufal showed yesterday they cannot play in the back 5. They were awful. Johnson was so much better when he came on. We can't have Ward-Prowse and Souček in the middle. We get badly exposed. Cameron thinks it was infuriating that Marshall and Mubama came on with just 11 minutes to go. Proper rubbish on them when Ings ghosts for 78 minutes. Felt Moyes was trying to defend a 1-0 loss. I get what you're saying. I think it became difficult for Moyes because we were down to 10 men. It was when do you sort of go for it in his eyes with 10 men? Because when we did bring on Mubama and Marshall, I also felt Bristol City nearly scored a second one on a couple of occasions. I do feel like they actually started picking up chances when we did the substitutions. So I have a little bit of sympathy for Moyes in that regards, but only because Ben Rama made it a difficult call. Now, obviously, we had 11 men. Would he have done the subs earlier? There's no proof. There's more evidence to suggest he wouldn't have done. But I get what Cameron's saying. I would have liked them sooner as well because Ings was ineffective for a very large period before he was substituted. He should have been subbed a lot earlier.
I think the sub should be done earlier. I mean, I understand what you're saying, to be fair, and I do agree with it. I think that was one of my things with, for example, at one point I was just like, just bring them all on, but then I was like, well, I can sort of get Scarl's not coming on, one because Emerson's having a good game and you sort of messing things up a bit defensively or whatever. Casey, for example, not coming on, just it was a bad idea to have brought Casey on in that game. It just wouldn't have. There's just very little benefit to it. But Mubama and Marshall specifically, I think, should have come on earlier. I just think it was so abundantly clear that nothing was happening in that sense. And why not bring on 2 people who sort of know each other's game? And we saw it. Don't get me wrong, but I think Mubama's where he tried to flick it on to Casey was like overhit and stuff like that. But there's 2 players who actually know each other and have played well together and sort of seemed to have some sort of semblance of knowing what was going on, where for most of that game it felt like that was 11 people who'd met in the tunnel before they came out. And I would have done that significantly earlier. As much as I agree with you, I think obviously it does present some problems. You do it.
I would have brought someone on too. When Johnson came on, I'd also took Marshall on for Ings. I wouldn't have necessarily gone both strikers on at the same time, but I would have took Marshall on for Ings when Johnson came on for Sufal.
I would have gone with Mubama, but I think, I think at least something should have happened.
The reason I would have went for Marshall, I was explaining this when you were having a piddle at half time, was Mubama's got no confidence at the minute. Now, I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not actually being, I'm not, this isn't a dig at David Moyes. He's been getting minutes here and there, and it's not happened for him yet. But he's not playing under 21 football. Whereas last season he was getting that confidence, that momentum. Marshall is banging forward at the minute at a lesser age group, but he's still got that confidence about him. And when they played Wickham, and he was up against physical defenders, he was struggling to get in the game. Marshall was. But a ball came over, he brought it down and hit it, and it was a comfortable save from the keeper. But that was a strike of a player in confidence. Whereas Danny Ings in the first half, when he had that opportunity and he decided to take it round it past the defender, and then he's sort of like, I can't even tell if it was a really bad shot or a really bad cross for Cornet, but it was rubbish regardless. But a striker in form would have probably hit that earlier, or certainly a lot more vicious with a lot more power at the goal. And it was just an effort of Danny Ings, of a player that just doesn't really have anything going for him at the minute, whereas Marshall did. So I would have liked Marshall to come on early in that second half, just to have somebody with energy, but also with form. There's not many of that players last night are in good nick at the minute, but Callum Marshall's one of them, albeit at a lesser level. But if he's going to go out on loan, he's probably looking at going to a side in the Championship. So there's your Championship defence to have a go at.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. It's fair. All fair comments. It's just, for me, it's about dragging the defenders and moving them away from people to create space, And for me, like, Mubama would be better at that. But that's a fair point. I hadn't really thought about the form aspect of it, because he is, like you say, there's not many players right now in form.
That's why I've got a lot of sympathy for Mubama when he comes on. He's not looked good. I mean, he's passed to Marshall. I think it was Marshall. He had an opportunity to play somebody kind of in. It was on the edge of the 18-yard line. It was overhit, and Marshall ran after it and went out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it
was such a bad pass from Mubama. It was an easy pass to make as well. He wasn't under that much pressure. Marshall was in quite a bit of space, and he had to touch to control it and then play it. There was no need for that pass to be sloppy, and it was bad. It was just one of them, because had the pass been right, Marshall suddenly would have found himself with an opportunity to shoot, albeit from a difficult angle, or cut it across the 18-yard or 6-yarder or something. But it was just bad. It was a really bad ball from Mubama, and I felt sorry for him actually, because Mubama did the whole, as if to say, "Fuck's sake, what's happened here?" kind of thing. So it's difficult. It's a difficult for Mubama. It's difficult for him at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame, Gio. I just look at that game. It's such a missed opportunity. It's not. We don't need additional matches, but I think we are a cup team. I think we should be going as far in the competitions as humanly possible, as difficult as that is with the squad we've got and everything else. And it was such a missed opportunity. Like, obviously, this is not to take anything away from Bristol City. They done their job. They deserved it over the 2 legs, 100%. They deserved it probably over the 1 leg, if we're being perfectly honest about it. But they definitely deserved it over 2, like 100%. We've come up against the Championship team. We've got a favourable draw in the next round if we got through. It felt like such an easy way to get through, but it's just, I mean, if there ever was an example of the games Moyes does not do well against, the teams that are essentially Moyes balling back, it's another one of those where you just look at it and you go, we just still don't have that answer. Not that we didn't know that already this season. We've seen it in the Premier League when our dip in form happened. It's because teams were Moyes balling us, if we want to word it in those words. And this is just another clean example of that. We just don't have the answer for that. And obviously, we might do if Paquetá was fit, if Bowen was fit, if Kudus was here, if all of these other things. But yeah, just a big no, Gio. Just a big no.
Disappointing. It's disappointing. I think there's an opportunity, like you said, favourable draw. Felt like the manager had no idea, and the players had no desire. It's a bad combination.
Horrible combination. But not one like this show, which is a good combination, because it'll be back after the Sheffield United game the morning after at 9 a.m. if Gio doesn't have a meeting. I woke up this morning, everyone. I woke up this morning on time, right? And Gio, right, I woke up and I said to Gio last night, I was like, do you know what? I might not wake up, mate. I'll be honest with you. I'm struggling at the moment. Gio was like, no, get to bed early. It'll be good for you, blah, 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 blah. 8:30, I'm all happy. I woke up, I text Gio. He's only gone and done it. Gio goes, yeah, but I've got a meeting now, so I can't do it till 10. Fuming.
let me defend myself here, and I'm going to do a better job of it than Mavropanos was last night, right?
Okay, all right.
We've currently got no brand deals for the channel, which is an
Sure.
important source of income. So listen, when someone says, "Oh, let's have a discussion," it's probably not going to come to anything. Not keen on what they want us to do, because I've got my ways of doing things, which is we'll promote it how we want, and we'll promote it in the videos we want, and it will not be approved prior because we do a lot of live videos and stuff like that. Time is everything when you're doing a fan channel. You need to react quick.
Yeah.
So they're not keen on that part. So it's a no. But it's an important part of we have 3 income streams: the adverts people have to put up with, the brand deals people have to put up with, in Patreon. And at the minute we've lost one. We've lost a revenue stream because I'm too picky. So I was exploring a potential brand deal today. Came to nothing. So back to the drawing board. Otherwise, and no food for Hammers chat in February.
Yeah, well, look, okay, fine. I'll give it a pass.
Eating is overrated.
Well, disagree on that one strongly, but we will be back for the Sheffield United one the morning after at 9 a.m. But until then, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button because it helps us out massively, and we will catch you later on. Cheers, everyone. Bye.